Let's talk about the Jupyter Notebook in this lecture. Jupyter Notebook is a system where we develop all the Python codes and functions. After you installed the Anaconda software, if you are using a Windows PC, click the Start button and in the menu, look for the Anaconda package and then open the package, click Anaconda Navigator. The icon looks like a circle of a green snake. This is the button you should click, Anaconda Navigator, or you can just search Anaconda Navigator in the search bar. After that, you should be able to see the screen like you see on this screen. If you are using an Apple Mac computer, in the Launchpad, just search Anaconda Navigator. You should be able to see the green circle as well. Click on it, you should be able to see this page. Once you open the Anaconda Navigator, you should be able to see Jupyter Notebook and then click Launch. Once you hit the Launch button, a web browser will open for you. It looks like a website, right? Yes, Jupyter Notebook is a web-based editor, which means everything you do will be transformed into a web page. The advantage of the web-based system is you can either save your codes into a cloud computing system if you have an account, or you can save all the codes into a web page and then email your codes to your colleagues or share your codes with other people. If you want to create a new Jupyter Notebook, just click the New button in the top right corner and then choose Python 3. This is a new Jupyter Notebook. Here you can type all the Python codes and achieve what you want to do. First, we want to give this new file a name. Click Untitled, and then in the text box, type in any name you want to use. Let's say I want to use my first Python code. You can have spaces between words. There's no requirements for spaces when you name a file. Click Rename, and then you can see the new name of this file. If you switch back to the home page of the Jupyter Notebook, in the directory, you should be able to find this new file you just created. It's called My First Python Code. This is how you change the name for this new Jupyter Notebook file. Then you can click the Save button to save any changes you made in a Jupyter Notebook file. And then inside of this block, you can develop your Python codes. We learned the list function in the Python lecture, right? Let's say I want to create a list. Let's call this my list. It has a bunch of integer elements equals to square brackets. And then let's just randomly give some numbers. Let's say 120, 10, 33, 45. Any elements, integer elements, is a made-up example. And then we learned the append function, right? We can use append to add a new number at the end of the list. Let's say I want to add 33 into the list. I want to do my list dot append parentheses and then type in 33. How can I see the results? I just type my list and then I want to hit the Run button on the top. In the navigation bar, click Run. You see, we get the results, the new list. This is how you develop the Python codes and see the result. Every time when you want to see the result, click the Run button in the navigation bar. You can keep developing your codes in one block. Each block is called a cell, C-E-L-L. This is a terminology to describe one block of codes. You can also develop codes independently in a new cell. In this example, after we execute the previous block, Jupyter Notebook automatically gives us a new cell. If you want to manually add a new cell, click the plus button in the navigation bar, and then you should be able to see a new cell. If you don't want a new cell, you can remove it. Click the scissor icon on the top to remove a block. One more thing I want to mention is, we frequently use external functions in our own Python codes in practice. Before you use any external functions, you want to bring them into your codes first. The way is to use the import function to bring them into your code. Let's say I want to use the functions from a library called pandas. The purpose of pandas is to manage source data in your code, create data frames for your codes. I need to bring them into my code first. The way is to use import. Import pandas. Pandas is the official name of the external library or functions. It's a group of functions. I want to use them. But in practice, we usually create a simpler name to represent pandas. The way is to use the as function. We want to do import pandas as PD. In the future, you can use PD, a simpler name, to represent pandas. Instead of keep writing pandas, you can simply use PD to represent this library. In the next few lectures, I will show everyone how to use external functions. By the way, Jupyter Notebook and Python libraries are growing like a universe. It's very challenging and almost impossible to remember all the functions from external libraries by heart. But we need them. We need to use them. So what we usually do in practice is, if we meet a new library or we don't know how to use some functions from the library, we'll just search the library by the name and then find the online documentations for the library. We learn from the examples in the documentation and then use the library in our own codes. It's very difficult to remember all the functions by heart. I wish you can do that. But if you cannot remember all the functions, search the online documentations. This is the nice part of open source system. We have plenty of online documentations. One other thing is, you can change the order of cells. Let's say I want to bring the import pandas as PD line to the top of this Jupyter Notebook. I can click on this block and then click the up button, and then import pandas as PD will show up as the first line. If I want to change the order, I can move it down. This is a brief introduction of Jupyter Notebook.